Thank you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know as we're talking college football on this channel year-round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. It always ends up being chaotic, so let's dive in. We know what's at stake, by the way, next week when we got Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, Penn State, USC. This week, though, the only top 25 matchup coming in beautiful College Station, Texas. Texas A&M, a 2.5-point favorite over the Missouri Tigers. Both teams ranked in the top 25. Texas A&M, a slight 2.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 48.5. When I look at this game, a couple things stand out. First of all, I think it's an interesting matchup, in my opinion, between a team I just kind of feel like 5 weeks in we know who they are versus a team 5 weeks in we have no idea about. Team that we know about, in my opinion, it's Texas A&M. Listen, it's kind of incredible if you really think about it. Listen, they're not perfect. They're not a finished product. They're nothing like that. Now, I don't mean nothing, but they're nothing like a finished product. But at the same time, go back to what Texas A&M was under Jimbo Fisher. Constant chaos, off-season headlines. You never knew on the field what you were going to get week to week. Some days the offense was great. Some days the defense was great. Sometimes neither was great. Now, Elko just has this thing, I feel like, a really consistent, at least brand of football. And A&M fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got to love kind of the old school toughness. We know about, the old school defensive teams that Texas A&M used to put out back in the day. Well, this team is tough. They're physical. They want to run the football. They want to play great defense. They know that they're not going to throw the ball, but they keep finding ways to win games sitting at 4-1. And I think last weekend against Arkansas was a perfect example. It wasn't the prettiest game. It certainly wasn't the prettiest start as Arkansas drives early, scripted series with Taylor Green. You fall behind 7-0, then they get another, I don't want to call it a cheapie, no disrespect to Arkansas fans, but fake punt sets up, another touchdown. You're down 14-7. You're not feeling good. And what does A&M do? Just kept running the ball. Le'Veon Moss kept running the ball with Marcel Reed, kept playing defense, kept forcing punts, kept doing this, kept doing that. And all of a sudden you look up, a 14-7 deficit becomes a 21-17 win. Doesn't matter how pretty it is. You got the victory nonetheless. And again, that just feels like who A&M is. Same time, I'll be transparent. We talked about this with Ole Miss last week. Remember Ole Miss, we just kind of said, look, we're finally going to learn something about Ole Miss, and we certainly did in that Kentucky game. I kind of feel the same way about Missouri. We're into October now. I have no super strong opinions on Missouri. They have looked incredible at certain points, but in the 2 games against Power 4 opponents, they've been great. Struggled early against Boston College. That game became one-sided. And then we know the last time we saw them, they almost got Diego Pavia'd by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt forces overtime. They're able to move the football on Missouri. And listen, I think Vandy is an improved team. But on the one hand, if if you're struggling to get off the field against Vanderbilt, what does it mean for the rest of the season ahead? But 2, what do we even make of this Missouri team? Things I think I know. To their credit, a couple things. 1, they still run the football really well. There is no Cody Schrader this year, but they do have the Nate Noel kid who transferred in from App State. They have the Marcus Carroll kid who runs the football well. Brady Cook, it feels like to me, has been good but not great. And I think part of it might just be some of the opposition. Don't want to put too much on his plate early as the games get tougher late. He's only got 4 touchdowns in 4 games. Doesn't mean he's terrible, just doesn't mean that maybe the standard that he set is quite what we expect. Beyond that, I know Mike Elko said, listen, this is the best defense that we've played all year, but also he referenced, hey, that pass game isn't just Luther Burden, but it is also Theo Wees. It is also Mookie Cooper. They got guys on Missouri, and if we're not careful, we can get beat over the top. We can get beat in the passing game. Now, in terms of the game and in terms of the pick, I'll be transparent. Listen, I don't love any of the sides. First of all, I think a 2.5-point home favorite for A&M kind of means that Vegas doesn't really kind of know what to make of these 2 teams. Historically, if you follow gambling, you know that if a team is a 3-point home favorite, basically means Vegas thinks they're about even. they'd probably be about a pick 'em on a neutral field. So A&M's a slight favorite. I don't feel great about either angle from the point spread perspective, but from the over under perspective, this one does feel like an under to me of 48.5. By the way, I know people are getting sick of picking unders, but they keep hitting. And one, listen, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but in this helmet comms world, in this world now where it's no longer a stopped clock for a first down, except in the final 2 minutes, or there's fewer clock stoppages. I just think it's harder to put up points. But when I look at these two teams, I just look at the way that they play, and this just has low scoring written all over it. From the A&M perspective, not only have they not been successful passing the ball, I don't even know that they want to. 13th in the country in rush offense, excuse me. They are, oh, by the way, dead last in the SEC in pass offense. By the way, that's not a bad thing. You're 4-1. It's okay. You'll figure it out. But at the same time, if this is the winning formula, you stick with it. From the Missouri perspective, to me, it's kind of interesting because you look at Missouri and you sit there and say, we think of Burden, we think of Brady Cook, but again, this is still a line of scrimmage team. To the credit of Missouri, I don't think a lot of people realize this. Elite run offense, that part you might know. Missouri, as of right now, is averaging over 200 yards rushing per game. I don't think what a lot of people realize, though, is that this is a team that is actually number one in the SEC in time of possession. So they're getting the ball, and I don't want to say sitting on it because the offense is more explosive than that would give it credit for, but they are kind of controlling the clock. And so you factor in A&M wants to run the ball. They want to play physical defense. Missouri wants to control the ball time of possession. This just doesn't feel like a game that is going to have a lot of possessions, which is why I lean under. Remember also, it is an 11 a.m. local time kick that usually leads to a little stagnation early. It's going to be hot like it always is in College Station this time of year. So the under to me feels like the side that I like the most in this game.